Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Really well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Great timing for me.
Good, good. You're in Ohio?
Yeah, we're traveling. We're headed towards Cleveland. We drove about 7 hours yesterday and got a couple more to go.
Nice. Always fun to get on the road.
Yeah,
Yeah, 30 years of North Mississippi Allstars.
almost. Next year will be 30.
Next year will be 30 and what,
Yeah,
25 for the first record?
yeah, yeah. We were we weren't in a hurry to put that one out.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I love it. Still Shakin's the brand new record and yeah, you guys have come a long way. I mean, you've been going at it for, like you said, almost 30 years next year. So this tour is kind of a big deal for you guys.
Yeah, it's kind of like the never Bob Dylan never ending tour. But it's nice to have such a cool um you every album, it's nice to have a new story or strategy or something, to mark the release. Something to talk about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, my first time seeing you was pretty recently. I got to check you out at Garcia's here in Chicago.
Oh, that was fun.
Oh my gosh, that was like one of my favorite nights of music in 2025, for sure.
Me too. That was what a great band, and I love Chris and I love the material. That was fun.
It was super fun.
Garcia, I like Garcia's too. That was my first time there.
Yeah, it's totally new. It feels like it's been there for years now, but it's only been like 3 months that we've been open. Um, I've been working with them, which is really fun, and I'm super glad to be on board. But yeah, the Chris Jacobs Luther Dickinson show was a treat for everybody, if anybody was there. And you guys got to play some really special guitars. Tell everybody what you got to play.
Man, they had one of Jerry Garcia's guitars. I think it's the one he played after the Strat that he had, like when they went to Europe in '71 and '72, which is my favorite era. It's a Travis Bean guitar, modded, heavily modded, and thank God Chris was playing that because it was a lot of switches and knobs on that thing, man. and
Yeah.
I was and I was playing, but he made it sound great. And I was playing Dickie Betts Les Paul that he played on Live at the Fillmore, and it's a cool story because I thought it was a gold top, but they had it refinished to a burst. So yeah, that was crazy, crazy vibes playing that guitar at rehearsal. It was like full body chill bumps the first time I really started playing it.
Yeah, I bet. I bet that was really cool. Did you know you were going to get to play that when you got the gig, or was that kind of a surprise?
Well, I knew they were going to be around, and I thought maybe we would, but I didn't realize it was like part of the thing, and we would play them the whole night.
Yeah.
But it was really, really cool. I can't wait to talk to Dwayne Betts, Dickie's son, about it. He's a great friend, and I admire him so much. And I think he played it at the Dickie Betts birthday tribute that he just put on in Macon, Georgia. I think they sent that guitar down there to be with him.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. It
My
was
brother,
a
my,
special
my
night.
brother Cody and I. Oh yeah, thank you. My
Yeah.
my brother Cody and I are second generation musicians. Our father worked with he recorded with Bob Dylan and the Stones and Aretha Franklin and had an awesome career, the Replacements. But he was friends with the Allman Brothers and he recorded with Duane Allman and Greg much later. But every year we do the Allman Betts Revival Tour and getting to play with Devin Allman and Dwayne Betts and Barry Oakley Jr., Lamar Williams Jr. It's so amazing, man. The second generation musicians, they're kind of like my tribe. A lot of my best friends are second generation rock and rollers. Levon Helm's daughter, Amy Helm, is a fantastic artist, and her son, Levon Helm's grandson, Lee Helm, is a super talent. I can't wait to see how his life unfolds.
Oh, that's awesome. I bet that's a huge part for you too, since you come from such a musical family. It's great to see the youngins pick up this music and be kind of mentor to some of these guys, right?
Love that. Yes, I'm 52 now, and it's funny. I was just working on a project this morning, but yeah, I'm at the point in my life where I was so fortunate. I got to play with Phil Lesh and friends, and Phil taught me the Dead. I didn't grow up playing Dead. He taught it to me by hand. He was so patient, and
Wow.
and then also the Memphis musicians and the Mississippi musicians I grew up under, and now I actively look out for anyone who wants to learn or talk or study and just find different ways to keep the traditions alive. I think it's very important because what we're doing is it's like a craft or a trade, and American music in the big picture, compared to like architecture or cave painting or whatever. I mean, it's in its infancy. It's tiny. It's just so new and needs to be and so important and change the world and it needs to be protected. Pop music, like disposable music, is great. That's always part of it. It comes and goes, but there's a certain aspect of what we do that is a tradition.
It is. It absolutely is. And I think tradition is probably a big part of where you came from, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It's
Because
funny because like when you're a kid, you balance it out with like just youthful rebellion or youthful carelessness, or you don't care, you just want to do whatever you want to do. But as you get older, you kind of always end up leaning back towards the tradition, like, oh yeah, those old timers were right.
yeah, you like rebel against it for a while and then you realize like, oh yeah,
Totally.
that's what I want to do. Yeah, you describe your guitar as kind of gritty when you were growing up, kind of just letting it loose and kind of just playing, kind of rough. How did that kind of
Yes.
evolve as you got older?
I always liked like the heavy distorted guitar, be it Jimi Hendrix or All My Brothers are beautiful sounds. And it's funny because like a gnarly, distorted, almost out of control rock and roll guitar can be beautiful, even when it's at its gnarliest.
Oh yeah.
But I just used to play too loud and just ride the adrenaline and the sound and the distortion and just kind of let it help me rise to the occasion. But two things really changed my game. Well, I always loved acoustic guitar. And always trying to get an electric guitar to respond to like an acoustic, which is hard when you're playing loud and distorted. It's
Yeah.
impossible. But I had daughters. I have two daughters now, and they do not like loud, aggressive, distorted guitar at all. And so that was one consideration. And then playing with Phil Lesh, once again, I didn't grow up playing Grateful Dead music, and it's just not appropriate. Like whatever I'm going to do, I want to adhere to the inherent aesthetic. Boy, I like those words. Adhere to the inherent aesthetic. That's my
Write that
kind of
one
sentence right
down.
there. But so and playing with Phil, and you know what? I actually playing with the Black Crows. I'll come back to that, but playing with Phil really enabled me to get comfortable playing clean, loud and clean. And I realized that you can get away with playing loud if it's a pretty clean sound. It's a distortion that people, especially like crew, like soundmen, get uptight about. But playing with the Black Crows, it was so loud and so huge. You had two rhythm guitars, you had piano and drums and bass. And it was like so loud. I ended up just playing super clean just to cut through it with the Crows. So, but it was a different feeling because it was so loud. Anyway, but yeah, and I love it now. And with our band at this point, I just feel like we're playing better and better and more dynamic. And it's like we can really control it and just ride. Dynamics are a musical device that can be largely, neglected.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that totally makes sense that, adhering to the inherent aesthetic of each person you play with, because you lab with so many different people, you kind of want to, vibe with what they're doing. When you said Black
Right.
Crowes, I thought that is kind of gnarly and janky and loud, but to cut through that, you had to play clean, and that was something that maybe Phil Lesh taught you or others.
Yeah, yeah. It was. Derek Trucks and Jimmy Herring. Jimmy Herring's playing with Widespread Panic. I've been a fan of his since I was a teenager. And Derek Trucks, they are famously, just plug right into the amp and turn it up. Like the Allman Brothers, like that classic pure rock and roll tube amp sound. And that was a good influence as well.
Cool. I love that. I love that. So the current band that North Mississippi Allstars is right now, give us a little view into who is playing in the band.
Sure. Even I first had the idea for the band, and one night in 1996, and I was like, man, I was so fascinated with this music, and I played it all the time by myself. I was like, I can't take it any longer. I just got to start a band where we can play this music and participate in this local tradition. This music, came from where we grew up, North Mississippi, and but even then, I start a loose collective of musicians from our community, um, that are all connected by these songs or this idea of a way to play. And man, we've been so fortunate that was the thing, because like our main bass player Chris Chu was with us for so many years, but he left, and then it's just been a rotating cast of characters, which is fun. It's fun experimenting with different chemistries. But right now we have. When we have the A team, that's Joey Williams from the Blind Boys of Alabama on guitar and bass and vocals, and Ray Holloman. He plays guitar for Eminem and Neo, and he plays with they both. Robert Randolph introduced us all,
Wow.
so we're old friends with Robert, and the musicians from his community are such beautifully cooperative, and they just they just care, and they're so professional, and they just bring such a high standard of musicianship. It's really fun, and I really wanted to, with our new record Still Shaking, feature them as much as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so you and Cody have always been in the band, brothers, since the beginning, since like 96 when it kind of started, 97. And then there's been a few different people that have joined in, and right now this iteration with Joey and Ray Ray, you're pretty solid. You're excited about it. It makes you excited to play with them.
Oh, we're very excited, but you never know. I mean, if Eminem comes calling, Ray Ray's got to go, you know.
Right.
And the Blind Boys of Alabama work regularly, and we just and we play with Barry Oakley Jr., whose father was from the original Allman Brothers lineup a lot. We have a lot of great bass musicians we work with. It's still ever changing, but we
Yep.
just wanted to really. Graham Lesh, our friend Phil's son, Graham, he plays bass on the record as well.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's it's still whoever can make the gig.
That's kind of how it is. I mean, definitely. And as
Totally.
it is. It's like, and when you know so many great musicians, it's kind of fun, I'm sure, to be able to get everybody's different flair on things.
It really is. It really is. I love that about it. And different musicians, whoever's with us will change the set list, like who shines on what songs is better with what approach or material. I love playing with Barry Oakley Jr. Is we just played with Derek and Tedeschi Trucks Band and
Oh,
Los Lobos, and Barry Oakley Jr. was on that gig, and he's so in the zone, man. He'll play something. He'll be playing so nice. I'll look over at him, and his eyes are just closed, and he's just in the zone, just like in the moment. It's beautiful.
oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, I've seen him play, I think with the Live Dead Brothers. They do a
Yes,
little thing that I
yes.
really enjoy that. It's really fun. He definitely is in the zone for sure.
He's he's a total soul brother.
He's a total soul brother. I love that. Yeah, so Graham Lesh adds some of the bass on the record, and you say that this record is kind of in memory of the great Phil Lesh, who we lost in October of last year.
Yeah, that's really a loss, a great loss. And like I said, he was such a great teacher and so generous with his time to teach us, his approach. It wasn't just the arrangements. It was also strategies for improvisation, arrangement strategies. They had like different, sometimes even opposing philosophies and strategies for odd time signatures. And it is beautiful. Like a lot of the playing we did was at his club, Terrapin Crossroads, out in California, and I'll never forget those nights. And then, but we also did road shows with him as well.
Nice.
It was beautiful, beautiful. And if you like, you know, I remember being 17 and listening, tripping on acid, listening to the Live at the Fillmore box set reissue that came out and thinking,
Oh.
that's what I want to do with my life. And I should have dreamed higher. But anyway, at least I've been able to live my dream in some ways. And if you like improvisational psychedelic rock and roll, Phil, it's not hard. It's not easy to get to that place, to be honest. But Phil will take you right there and just like, zoom, beam me up, Scotty.
Yes, he would. Absolutely. Some of my favorite musical memories are at Terrapin Crossroads. I mean, some of the
Mm,
where I made it out there a few times and it literally was changed my life. He was so cool. He'd be sitting right there watching his kids on a Sunday playing the bright
yes.
show. And then,
Yeah.
a little small gathering. We got to go to like a harvest house party. It was 100 people in the restaurant and
Wow.
playing a light up bass and beaming you up for sure. It was always a pleasure. So, how did you get involved with Phil in the beginning since you weren't really like a deadhead to begin with?
That's an interesting thing. Phil, they just actively, he and his camp, his wife Jill and their partner, they just kept it. It was funny. I had a pre-call years before. Like they reached out to my manager at the time and was like, "Hey, we got our eyes on you, like, hey, we like what you're doing." I was like, "Wow, that's a trip." Uh, and But then it was funny because I played with the Black Crows. I started in '07 and my last show was 11. And then they were taking a hiatus. And I called them to get back on the road in 13. And I called them in 12. And I was like, I just left the band. I was like, I can't do it. It's funny. I didn't know why. I was just had to listen to my gut instinct. And I just didn't want to do it. And it was hard. It was a really hard decision. I love those guys. But I didn't have anything planned besides just keep on keeping on. But I'm so glad I did because that year, shortly thereafter, Phil started hiring me. And it opened me up to a whole new community, a whole new repertoire, the whole new experience. And it really changed my life. Um, and It really turned out well. So they reached out to me. And as soon as we got out there, I met Graham. And this was in Graham's early days of being involved. And oh man, I took a shine to him because we lost our father in '09. So this is 2011, 2012. And I'm just like, man, to watch the father and son relationship go down. Uh, oh man, it just warmed my heart to no end.
I'm sure, absolutely. I'm sure that was like a kind of a parallel where you could feel the same, kind of feeling to be able to collaborate with
Yeah.
Pop and being so soon after losing your dad was probably a reason to be like, wow, I'm glad I did take this gig because it is something that I want to be around,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I really appreciated it. And we're going to play with them in September, I think, at the Fillmore. They're putting on I hope it's been announced, but they're working on something.
Cool. That's awesome. We'll keep
Yeah.
our eyes out and ears out for that. Yeah, all these bands you've described, Graham Lesh opened Garcia's, Blind Boys of Alabama did one of the first shows there. You were there.
Yeah.
Definitely cool to have this family vibe. And I think family is a huge part, obviously, of your band, being that you play with your brother, and then kind of with your father. He taught you a lot. Tell me about what it was like growing up in that musical household with Pops.
It was cool. Jim Dickinson, he was a first generation Memphis rocker. He was like 5 years younger than Elvis, who was younger than the first crew that came through Memphis, Johnny Cash and Carl Perkins and Elvis, etc., Roy Orbison. But he did sing on the last Sun single. Um, and and then he went on to become a session musician. Like I said, he worked with the Stones and Dylan, Aretha Franklin, a record producer. He produced the Replacements, so many great records. And so yeah, we grew up with an amazing session musician. He went on the road with Ry Cooder and his community, and a record producer. So, but he was tough, man. It was tough love. Like he never shined us on. He was always brutally honest with us. And but that's good because it's serious. It's like it's not an industry, especially rock and roll. It's like it's funny when things get tense in rock and roll. Some people get uptight. I was like, this is not kindergarten, you know. Look at the history. Put this in context of the history of rock and roll. It is the tension is part of it, you know, and and he was definitely he helped teach us how to navigate all these things. He gave me great advice. We were about to start recording with John Hyatt, and we ended up touring with him for a couple of years after that. And I made a second record with John, and he gave me great advice as a guitar player. Because as a lead guitar player, sometimes you provide a second call and response melody to the vocal. Sometimes that can be part of the job. He was like, "Well, look, when John sings, don't play, don't interrupt him, don't distract him," and that's good advice, you know. And most singers appreciate that. Some singers want that second melody even underneath them. Chris Robinson being so, but but like I've been so fortunate. Patty Griffin, Mavis Staples. You know, we toured and played a couple of times with Robert Plant. We toured for 2 years with Robert Plant, but we played with him a few times. Recorded with him once, twice. But yeah, work and our father was a keyboard player, so he taught us how to work with keyboard players, which is a thing in and to itself. To be as a guitar player, especially to be able to make room and cooperate with a keyboard player that has such a wide range, and a keyboard by itself could fill up a whole room.
Right.
Um, it is a you know because I've worked with Jojo Herman, John Medeski. Phil always had great keyboard players. It's been that's been another skill that just being able to work with piano players.
That's awesome. Yeah, your dad is fascinating. Going through his kind of life and his history is really beautiful, and it's awesome to see what it's created. You know, it's created these kids who your brother and you play together, which can't always be easy. I've got brothers and sisters. It's not easy to to be on the road with them, but I love them and we really value that. When you were growing up,
Yeah.
was dad like teaching you how to play, or was he kind of telling you to do your own thing and he would give you, hints along the way?
Well, like when it came to playing guitar, Dad would maintain that he would say rock and roll is self-taught. You know, he would show us stuff, but he really wanted us to learn it for ourselves or find like proper teachers. I found a lot of great guitar teachers in Memphis, but we would talk about music and art and production constantly, all the time. That's all we talked about.
That's amazing. That's great. And what did mom do? What was mom's role in?
Oh, she was awesome. She was such an angel. She is such an angel and a caretaker of, musicians. We had musicians that lived with us. You know, people would. We had a basement studio, and I had a room down there that was a safe haven for all the freaks, and
Yeah.
she kept us all going, and also when we were young, she loved videotaping us, and that helped us study. Um, but then later we started a studio, and she ran the studio. She ran the family business. Mom was awesome. Her favorite thing were horses. That was her passion, were horses.
Sounds like mom was right on it. She's the type that's gonna make sure you guys got brownies and snacks and, and make sure
Ah,
everybody's
totally.
make sure everybody's feeling good. So was this Zebra Ranch that you're speaking of? Was the studio?
Yes,
Okay, Zebra
yes.
Ranch.
And we still have it. It's still going. It's going great. We've made a few records the last couple of years. We don't actively fill it, but
Yeah.
if anyone wants to work there, and I love working there. It's the family farm. It's the home base.
Is that back in Mississippi or where's that at?
Yep, yep, yep. Exactly.
Cool.
Yep.
So mom's still out there?
North Mississippi. No, 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 no. She's in assisted living now,
Okay.
but we have friends, and we keep it up.
Keep it up. I love that. Yeah, and you speak of it as kind of an electric church in a way that being there is like an act of communion with the elders that transcends time and space. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Ah, with that line, that is music. Then that's my belief about music. That's one of my intentions of music is that through music, because we travel so much, music itself has become our home, and the music it resonates with our home, and also be it our father or Phil or whoever, R.L. Burnside or Otha Turner. Um, we play the music that they taught us. I just feel close to them in that music. And then the electric church, that is a Jimi Hendrix concept. Like he said, I think his concerts were his electric church. And it's funny, I almost mentioned that when you were talking about Terrapin Crossroads, because I felt like Phil had built it was, as like his electric church, because it's funny, like he built that place not only to have a place where he could play music on the regular and keep his chops up, but also teach his craft to his sons. He wasn't just teaching us; he was teaching his sons as well. He was teaching the local musicians. There was so many musicians in the Bay Area played with Phil at Terrapin. He kept at one point when COVID hit, they had 150 employees. It was an amazing community, and that was an electric church. Um, but and the thing about studios, classic studios, to me they feel like your grandmother's kitchen or your grandfather's workshop or a garage or like if there's a room that's designed to do one thing and it's done that one thing for decades and decades, it just gets this vibe where you get in there and just go right in the zone. And
Yeah,
classic studios are like that. I like that.
I like that too. I love that. And I think that that's great that you guys have held on to your electric church, to your zebra ranch, which
Yeah, thanks.
which is amazing. So yeah, when you speak of music and how the elders, that transcends the time and space, we talk about your father, Jim. We talk about R.L. Burnside was a big influence, right? And Junior and Otha and Fred, all these people that you're still kind of, not tributing, but bringing with that spirit, right?
Totally.
The music.
Totally, totally. Yeah, and this record, Still Shaken, is very heavy on their spirits because we wanted to revisit all of their repertoires. There's a Fred McDowell song, a Junior song, R.L. Burnside song, a Furry Lewis songs that we learned from our dad and his friends in Memphis. So yeah, Still Shaken is very much we call it modern Mississippi music, because um, I never felt comfortable saying I play blues or I'm a blues man. To me, it's all roots music. I'm not in the genre. You know,
Yeah.
uh, and back home, nobody cared. What style or who you were. Like as long as you didn't clear the dance floor, if you
That's the
showed
whole
up, you
point.
had to participate.
Right.
Yeah, just
Make
don't
sure that
clear the
dance
dance
floor
floor.
is full. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I don't remember where we were going with. Oh yeah, but this whole modern Mississippi music. Yeah, we made Still Shaken as a love letter of appreciation to our fans. Anyone that has supported us, even for one night, over the last 25 years. It's crazy we've been able to do this for so long. And we wanted to also give a nod to the our elders' repertoires that we love so much.
Absolutely. I mean, your first national national tour was backing R.L. Burnside. Was that back in '97?
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. We'd had the band we started in '96, but Kenny Brown, R.L. Burnside's guitar player, right hand man, he hired me to come help drive, and we would open up the shows, and I would get to play the second half of the show with R.L. and Cedric Burnside, and they're both doing great. Kenny Brown's been working and touring with the Black Keys, and Cedric Burnside's won Grammys as a solo artist, and just doing great.
I mean, that had to be a huge experience for being in an early band, to just starting out with North Mississippi to have some of that experience on the road and playing with these guys. You say, or
They
you're
taught me how to they taught me how to tour. I'd never been anywhere and I didn't know how to really proper tour. And
wow.
yeah, Kenny Brown and Cedric showed me the ropes, man. We played in Chicago. I can't remember what venue it was in '97, but yeah, I'd never been up north. I'd never been anywhere. We played. They took me to New York City for the first time, Montreal, Toronto, Philadelphia, DC. It was fantastic. Blew my mind.
That's what I was gonna say. You quoted as saying it blew your mind because I'm sure it was just like all of it at once. Like, wait, I can bring my
Yeah.
can play with my people and then go all around the country? Like, this is great.
Yeah.
Would be my
Yeah.
life. I love that. I really do. Um, I was gonna ask, you said Otha Turner and you speak of her picnics. What were those like?
Oh, well, Otha was he was a Mississippi fife and drum musician. So he played a bamboo cane fife, and he had drummers playing bass drums and snare drums, and it was like literally music. They would have picnics, and barbecue picnics and music and bootleg liquor of all sorts and food um and he's been gone, but his granddaughter Sharday and her husband Chris, they keep it going on. Rising Stars, fife and drum, and the picnic is the last weekend of August always, and it's one of the best parties in North Mississippi. It's so much fun.
Also, I'm sure part of the learning and the upbringing is like, going to these juke joints and these picnics and bringing this vibe that, North Mississippi is somewhere I've never been, but I feel like I'm closer to it by listening to your music, right?
Thank you very much. It is a vibe, and it's funny. It's like be it screwed and chopped music from Houston, or psychedelic rock, or Allman Brothers, you know, uh, or like say disco. It's like there's not saying that it's drug culture music, not the saying that it's a soundtrack to a drug culture, but the moonshine definitely plays the core. Yeah, it definitely has an effect on the music. The local brew.
The local brew. How much moonshine have you had in your time?
Woo! I'm a cheap date, man. I've got low tolerance, but enough to know what it was about. Man, God. I remember this one. Otha passed around this bottle of homemade muscadine wine once, and it had turned sour. It tastes like straight vinegar, and my wife would not would not drink it after she smelled it. And Otha was so offended, but that she snubbed his muscadine wine.
Like, I'm not taking you for a week either, Luther. You stink.
I Otha was a bootlegger, and
Okay.
he would in his youth he had stories of having stills, but by the time I knew him, he was in his 80s and his 90s, and he would buy bulk and then sell it to his community, and he stored it in big blue Clorox bottles in his kitchen under the sink. And we used to drink it straight out of the Clorox jug. Like,
Got a little tinge of the old chemical in there.
hey, you know, there was no ailment that a little honey, moonshine, and turpentine wouldn't cure in Other's. Turpentine was in Other's medicine cabinet.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I mean it's part of a part of it. Like you said, it's just kind of some of that moonshine kind of crept into the music in a way. Um, Tell us what,
For sure.
as you called modern Mississippi music, and you say one part Mississippi Hill Country, another part Sacred Steel, kind of crossed with stoner punk,
Yeah.
Brent psychedelia, which I like. First of all, what is Sacred Steel? Just for anybody who may not know.
Well, that's the greatest example is Robert Randolph. He comes from a church, a group of churches that has their music is based on steel guitar, lap steel guitar, regular guitars, and pedal steel guitars. And it's a gospel style that no one knew about outside the church until the mid 90s.
Wow.
And then our Hooli Records started releasing them. And we became friends with Robert and a lot of the Sacred Steel players back in 2000. And to this day it is still just such a wealth of amazing music and musicians. Last night on America's Got Talent, Steve Ray debuted, and he's a church player, and but he was playing banjo and singing an original song. It was so cool. It was like a hip hop country song, but he had a Sacred Steel player with him. On just last night, they blew up on America's Got Talent, and
Wow.
so Sacred Steel is a beautiful thing. Our friend Roosevelt, he plays with Jelly Roll. He's got the Sacred Steel representing in Jelly Roll's band.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it's
so,
about Collier, right? He's awesome.
exactly, yeah.
He's
He's
amazing.
Jelly Roll's him. He's his musical director.
That's what? So he's now Jelly Roll's band slash musical director?
Yeah, that's Roosevelt's gig, man.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's beautiful. It's really
Wow.
beautiful.
So when I think Sacred Steel, I think Robert Randolph, I think Roosevelt.
And,
Uh,
and Robert's new single is amazing with Judith Hill.
oh,
It is. I think it's called When the Rain Comes Down, is the most fantastic thing anyone of our scene has done. It is a wonderful song.
That's wonderful. I will put that on the show for sure because I'd love to hear that. I remember when Robert Randolph kind of came to the scene, and it was unlike anything I think any
Exactly.
of us had heard in the jam world and the
Totally.
kind of rock
Talk,
world. Yeah.
talking about blowing minds, man.
How did you meet Robert?
Well, it was a sacred. It's like Live at the Fillmore.
Hmm.
It's like sometimes you get a record that actually changes your life, you know? And the first Sacred Steel compilation on our Huli came out in the mid 90s. And then we were doing a tour with Medeski, Martin, and Wood in '98. And Medeski, we all loved that music at the time, fascinated with it. And Medeski and I started scheming about doing an instrumental gospel record. And then we were on the road in 2000, and Sacred Steel Volume 2 came out, and that was Robert's debut. He had one song on this, and we would listen to that song over and over. We found out we had a mutual friend. We had a New York City show coming up, and we asked him to open up the show for us. It was Robert's first concert outside the church. And Medeski was there. Medeski and I asked Robert to join us at this recording session. And he did. And that's how the band The Word was born. And so it was just fate, man. Like that album changed my life, and making friends with Robert changed my life. And Ray Ray and Joey in our band now is because of our friendship with Robert and his community.
I love that it's a full circle. And when I was doing my research about you, I remember I forgot about the word, and the word was a huge part of like my high school cruise, music listening was like this. What the heck is
Wow.
this? Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot Luther was on that. I forgot that was a thing. Like I need to pop that back
Yeah.
in because you're right.
Yeah.
Changes on there literally change your life. Like that's a great way to put it. Some of these albums that the changes within it change your life, and what a beautiful,
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
so cool. It's so nice to speak to you.
it's
You
nice.
know what you're talking about.
Hey, I try. I just love music and I want people to know that like, hey, it's still happening out there. All these great musicians are out there playing. And one of the places you're playing is this weekend at Space in Evanston. You're going to be here in the Chicago area. Have you played at Space before?
Love that place.
Isn't it
Oh
cool?
yeah, I love space. For many, many different lineups. Love that space.
It's a great
I
spot.
love the space that is space.
I love it. Say that again.
I love the space that is space.
I love the space. The
It's a
space.
great space.
And that space has now
Space is a
become
great space.
even more space.
Space is
Space is the place. I know whenever I interview anyone about playing at space, we end up saying that. And it's like, thank you, Sun Ra, because it's such a great way to say it.
yes, it is.
Say it, just feel that wherever you are, it's the place. And space is they've been like expanding and they made this huge patio now and kind of
Ooh.
different. You don't walk in the pizza joint anymore. You kind of go alongside it. I haven't been to see it, but I've heard great things. So it's gonna have
Ooh.
even more spacey, fun spot for us. So I'm excited.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, they've definitely been promoting it, and I want to get up there. So Saturday the 21st, you'll do a couple shows in Ohio, and then you'll come on over this way, make your way. You're going to be on tour for a while now, right? Through pretty much
Oh yeah, always. We always
all.
are.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Once they taught you how to go on the road back in '97, you're like, I'm never leaving this road.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Haven't.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, Luther. It's been awesome.
Thank you. We appreciate you so much.
We
Have a
appreciate
great day.
it. Thanks so much. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.